finagled it. Hello.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Like and subscribe.
What he said.
So, today I want to talk about something that not a lot of people talk about because it's an uncomfortable, sad thing that we would have to talk about it. You just saw Ina's video about her mom dying. And probably what I'm about to say, to those who've been through it, or to those who have not been through it, there's no explanation possible. To those who have been through it, there's no explanation necessary. Because it takes experience. It takes experience with these people. Now, Ina and I have been watching very therapeutic YouTube videos from psychotherapists, coaches, people who understand the psychology of the human mind. And we've come to understand narcissism and different types of narcissism. And when most people think of narcissism, they think of somebody who just loves themselves, right? And that's probably what most people who don't know much about the subject would think. Oh, a narcissist, that's just somebody who loves themselves, right? But it's much, much deeper than that. A narcissist is somebody whose world revolves around them, and they don't care about anybody else. And the only capacity that they care about anybody else is how that person can serve them and what that person can do for them. It's called supply. Narcissism, there's different types of narcissism. Yeah, there's the person who really loves themselves, and that's kind of harmless. But there's covert narcissism, where people develop this attitude where nothing in their life bad is their fault. It's always your fault. The person closest to them. They will take no responsibility for anything. They go throughout life destroying other people's lives. Just all around asshole people. There's lots of them. There are lots of them. And I know that you guys know this. And it's hard to say, it's sad to have to say sometimes, I'm glad somebody's dead. It's a sad thing to have to say. It's not heartless. It's not heartless. Because so many people in this world are just mean. Dr. Ramani says these people are just jerks. And they are. They're just jerks. My wife is somebody I fell in love with her heart, how wonderful and kind she is. And she is. And to know that she came from that family is just mind-boggling. Because RAINN, her mother, emotionally abused Ina her entire life and caused her emotional scars to this day. Scars she's never going to get rid of. And when I first met Ina almost 30 years ago, I didn't understand any of this stuff. I was still a Jehovah's Witness. So what did I know about human psychology? Nothing. I knew it was uncomfortable. I knew that her mom and dad fought a lot. I knew that her brother, I didn't know her brother very well. He wasn't around. But when he was around, he was up and down emotionally. Some days he liked you, some days he hated you. When you learn about these things, you learn that the narcissistic family usually has the golden child, right? The one that can do no wrong. I'm just very angry that we have to deal with these kind of people. You have to deal with them. A lot of you people have to deal with them. Yeah. Hopefully leave some comments, tell your story maybe. But sometimes you're just glad when somebody's dead. And it's sad to say that. It's sad to have to say that. But sometimes when people die, it frees other people from mental slavery. And that's what happened last week. And I don't know, some of you people are going to be upset. Oh, that's terrible. She died. I'm sure she had some good in her.
There was good. There was some good.
My mom is also somebody who, she's a Jehovah's Witness. She doesn't talk to me, but she's somebody who is nice and doesn't want to say anything bad about anybody. But after she dealt with Irene, with Ina's mom, after a while, she told Ina, look, I know that your mom is sick, but she's also just mean. And she was just mean. She wanted to hurt Ina. She wanted to hurt her own daughter, and she did not love her own daughter. And we tried to help 2 or 3 times. The last time we got kicked out of her house was about 5 years ago, and the only reason we were in her house is because she showed up one day at the end of 2013 at our house in Huntington Beach and begged us to come and live with her because she was so lonely and she needed help. She begged us. Ina and I debated it, and so we went. And she was sick. She was very sick. She was
at that point,
skinny.
she was really...
She had delusions that there were
she
bugs
had
all over the house.
Yeah, it was scary for me.
So we decided to go help. And so we moved in to the front house. She lived in the back house. It's a little tiny house.
A little, yeah, grandma type of deal.
And we paid all of her bills. You know, took care of her lawn maintenance. We did everything for her. And nursed her back to health. And about the 2-year mark, she just decided to kick us out. No reason whatsoever. Just, narcissists always need an enemy, and the enemy to a narcissist is usually the people that are closest to them for the longest period of time. Yep. And so we lived in her front house for 2 years. And at the 2-year mark, and Ina says that that's common.
Yeah,
at
it's
the
common.
2-year mark is when her mom would kick people out. And it wasn't just us, it was her own mother. Her own mother lived with her.
Right.
And at the 2-year mark, her own mother kicked her own mother out.
Yeah, so it was kind of a common theme in the family. It wasn't, I mean, it didn't surprise us when it actually happened. It was just kind of strange. It was, we kind of used to it at that point, and so.
Yeah, Ina and I have come to learn that we've had a lot of covert narcissists in our lives. Relatives, people who aren't relatives. And so we're backing away. We're backing away from all of them. And after she kicked us out, she called us about 2 years later.
Yeah. And wanted back in.
And wanted us to go back into her life. Right?
At that point, I was like exhausted emotionally. I couldn't do it anymore.
And Ina was just healing from this. She was just mentally healing.
Yeah.
And just at the point where Ina was just starting to mentally heal, her mom calls us up and wants us to come back into her life.
Yeah.
This time we said no.
I think that's a running theme for most dysfunctional families. I don't think it's just Jehovah's Witnesses or ex-Jehovah's Witnesses. I think I think it hurts more when, or I think there's something to the thought process of Jehovah's Witnesses when they cut you off because, let's say, you're not going to be a Jehovah's Witness anymore, or you've chosen to quietly go away from the meetings, or you don't want to participate anymore in certain religious things. There's something added to regular dysfunctional family, and that adds more more to it, more complications. In my case, I was a regular sister, and I was doing good. I never gotten disciplined in any way, never put in the back room for anything that I did wrong. So it was kind of hard. I remember explaining it to brothers and sisters, that my mom wasn't talking to me. But because we're not familiar with certain ways and behaviors that are in family members, Patrick Teahan, he is really awesome, and he even references Dr. Ramani, and he explains, do a little chart, generational chart of your family. And I have, how many generations? I think, oh gosh, 1, 2, 3 generations. I would be the 4th generation, right? Of Jehovah's Witnesses. Oh. And on my mom's side and on my dad's side, it's just 2. And but I see there's a running theme of dysfunction in the family, and I feel that Jehovah's Witnesses and their mindset when it comes to their beliefs just allows that dysfunction. It doesn't clean it up. We were not encouraged to go to any sort of mental health professional at all. And my mom needed a consistent health professional. And unfortunately, in the United States of America, that's not always accessible. So not only are Jehovah's Witnesses dealing with isolation in that their parent or their family members have decided not to talk to them, but we're dealing with people who can't get access mental health, good mental health at a reasonable price for somebody who just left home, who doesn't have a job, who's not very educated. There's a lot of things that make it almost impossible to get instant help. You're kind of on your own here in America. I mean, yeah, they have these great facilities, but not everybody can afford to go to them.
This organization, the Watchtower Bravo and Track Society, it attracts and it creates covert narcissists. It attracts covert narcissists because it tells you that you're special, that you're a special people. You're actually the Jehovah's people, right?
Chosen.
The chosen ones. If you watch a JW broadcasting where they're going over a natural disaster that happened somewhere in the world, like the 2013 Philippines hurricane,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, lots of people died. Lots of innocent people died. But what does the Watchtower say? 13 of our brothers and sisters died tragically. Screw everybody else, right? It's just our brothers and sisters, right? So and they're constantly saying Jehovah's people, Jehovah's people. So you're special. And a narcissist likes to think that they're special. And so this organization, it attracts and it creates narcissistic human beings. And analyzing Ina's family, my family to some extent, and the Watchtower Society, it's the same. Ina's family had child molesters and just horrible people. And the Watchtower Society has child molesters and horrible people. I tell Ina there's only so much psychology in the world. Organizations, cults use this psychology to control people. And I really do think that they attract, create narcissists. And so as a Jehovah's Witness, you're surrounded by them. I mean, how else could you have a son or a daughter that you've loved and taken care of for their entire life, and one day they, 18 years old, they have sex with their boyfriend or girlfriend, and they get disfellowshipped, and all of a sudden, you don't talk to them anymore? You don't talk to your own son or daughter anymore because a group of men that don't even know you told you couldn't. That is heartless.
And generally in other religions, that doesn't happen. And it's not a Bible-based belief.
It does happen in other religions. Yeah.
Not as much. There's like Catholicism and stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe 50 or 60 years ago it happened more with a more stricter view of it. But
the Catholics now have so many members that it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, and you can openly say you're not.
Scientology, Mormonism, they shun their ex-members.
Yeah, well, Scientology, oh my gosh, it's worse than Jehovah's Witnesses, right? I'm going to pick a point that he said. He said, narcissists, that Jehovah's Witnesses say, they're chosen people. So, you kind of have that feeling that you're better and more special. Well, I remember sitting in front of a district convention or circuit assembly and thinking, well, he knew how many people that died that were Jehovah's Witnesses, and other people that had a different religion, they don't know who their people are. So I always felt that when someone said that it was because they cared more about us as Jehovah's Witnesses, that somebody cared for us more, so they knew that we died, and so we would be told who was in our little group that died. But not necessarily the case, because now we know that our numbers matter. So when you're not paying for certain things, or you're not part of something, then that means they have to try and fix it. It's not necessarily because they cared about who died. It's just that they have to try and get more people to come in to take care of those groups of people that just died. They need people in there to continue that thinking, and also for money. You know, my mom gave half of what my dad worked so hard for. My mom didn't really work. My dad worked, and he was the one that ended up committing suicide because of his he didn't want to get disfellowshipped again. That was his big thing. And my mom even said, gosh, I wish we would have just taken some cigarettes, taken a couple of drags, and said, hey, look, everything's okay. You're not going to get disfellowshipped. So what? We're all going to get disfellowshipped then. There were times when my parents had windows of normalcy, but it was really, when you have mental illness in the family, both parents were considered bipolar. It's hard for children to, even as an adult now, I still can go back into that child thinking and think, why didn't it work? Why? And why didn't they get better? And, me and Jason, we work on our marriage, and it's hard, but some marriages just don't work and are unhealthy to be in. And Patrick Teahan explains that. And so does Dr. Ramani, but he really said it, and it sounded like he comes from a family he's experienced dysfunction in his family. And he said, you got to get divorced. It's not healthy for the kids to constantly see that. And me and my brother developed a terrible angry attitude with each other. And it's not a healthy relationship. And, neither of us want it anymore. We don't want that anymore. We're tired. And I'm tired. I don't want to get back into a dysfunctional family, because I'm okay with it. They didn't want me around. You know what? Maybe 5 or 6 years ago, I might have cried my eyes out for weeks and gotten terribly sick. I lose lots of weight when I get depressed and things aren't working right in my mind. I can't afford to do that. I can't afford to. You have to think of your own personal mental health. And at this point in my life, I'm 50 years old. I'm almost going to be 51, and I can't do it anymore. You can't keep trying. There are times when it's okay to say, you know what? Fine. You cut ties. It's fine. I wish you the best. I want you to have a good life. Spend your time wisely and enjoy your life that you have.
Just because somebody is a family member doesn't mean you have to associate with them.
No.
It doesn't even mean you have to love them, because they make it hard.
Yeah.
They make it very, very difficult to love them.
And it's embarrassing.
And if you don't feel bad.
Yeah.
It's okay. Look, it took me 50 years. I feel like I want to be loyal to family because they're
Yes.
family. I want those things. But if people use you and take advantage of you and throw you away one day and then want you back the next day. No. Put your foot down. Stand tall.
Yeah.
And say, no more.
Right.
We only get this one life.
One.
Be happy.
Mm-hmm.
Be happy. Walk away from toxic people.
Even if they're your parents.
Even if they're your parents. It doesn't matter. It's okay. You know what? we're going to put links to Patrick Teahan's
Yeah.
videos. We put links, and we'll put more links to Dr. Ramani's videos. But these people hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
And if you have any problems like this with your family, if you've been used and abused your whole life and you just can't understand why. You can't understand why.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with you. Don't let these people make you feel like you're the one in the wrong. You are not. You are not. Get some therapy.
If you
It's
can.
free therapy online.
And
These things are incredibly helpful.
Yeah.
These
YouTube
little
videos.
that Dr. Ramani and Patrick Teahan make. And these alone, for free, have been enough for us to figure out what's been going on our whole lives. And it's very helpful, and it's free. So we encourage you to look it up.
Yeah.
But find people that make you happy.
Mm-hmm.
And be friends with people who make you happy.
And I'm on it. Like, can I say something?
Yeah.
I didn't know what that was.
Mm.
You know, I've been married to my husband 28 years. And for 23, I lived with my family. And it was so toxic.
Before she married.
Before I married my husband. That normalcy in my life is hard to get used to. Because we are not fighting. We don't fight. We fought about religion. And we'd have to split. You know, we'd have to... that's the only thing that ever heated me up. And we would argue. Never wanted to say bad words unless it was to him. But not to everybody else, you know? Not like that.
When I was criticizing
When I was,
her,
he would tell me
religion,
things about Jehovah's Witnesses and, you know, tried to make me look at things, not just Jehovah's Witnesses, but look at everything. I was pretty centered in just me. Now, everything is calm, right? And I think my body's kind of used to it along with my mind. So I got an uncomfortable family phone call. And it threw me back. You know, like you get all these feelings of anger and frustration, and nobody's gonna believe me. You know, I talked to certain people that dealt with my mom, and they never saw any of these things.
Can I jump in? Okay.
They never saw her bad behavior.
The uncomfortable phone call was from, and what narcissists do is they don't like themselves, which is why so many of them become alcoholics. And they do what's called mirroring, where they will call you or talk to you and tell you everything that's wrong with them, but they'll be saying that it's you. You're the problem. You're a liar. Her aunt told Ina her whole life that she was selfish.
Mm-hmm.
Ina was the opposite of selfish. So yeah, it's just another example of narcissistic behavior. Walk away from it.
No,
We have.
Yeah. And I've learned too, you know, when you're a kid, you're selfish. You have to learn some of these things, or unlearn, you know, how to behave with another human being. But when you're a child, you don't know. And my aunt didn't know me anymore. So, you know, we kind of cut ties. The family, my mom had cut ties with almost anybody that she had any long periods of time with, making it hard for the ones that were trying to explain, hey, like with me, I would talk to a friend who was dealing with my mom, and she would call the elders and say, look, Irene needs help. Why isn't anybody out there? Why isn't anybody helping her? Why? And she would talk to me, and I would say, yeah, but I can't make it better for my mom. She doesn't want me right now. So, you know, I followed my mom's request, which is to stay away from her. And I did, until, you know, I just happened to see her at that one day at the post office, and then I got a chance to tell her.
That she was disassociating.
That I was disassociating myself, and about the Australian Royal Commission.
Yes.
I didn't get that right. Yeah, so now it's time for healing. Now I get an opportunity to really not be afraid. I mean, you know, there are family that I'm still afraid of because I came from a really, I mean, this is a family that...
I came from some ignorant family too. I have a lot of racist rednecks in my family.
Yeah, well...
I don't have anything to do with them.
Right.
But Ina's abuser is gone.
Yeah.
She's gone now. And unfortunately, that's reason for celebration. Sad as it may sound, it's true. Because she was not a happy woman, and now she's dead.
Yeah.
And she didn't make anybody around her happy.
You stay with her long enough,
yeah.
And she wasn't going to make it. It wasn't easy to live around her.
Walk on eggshells.
Yeah.
Don't know what to say.
Her way or the highway.
Kind of a person.
If anybody really truly knew the accounts of what went on, then yeah. But you know, the congregation elders and the congregation itself, just you sitting there with your cute little outfits and your Bible and your book bags and your suits, and you know, you go out in field service and you spend 20 minutes together and 2 hours out in the field talking to nobody, or maybe in a car group, but it's very surface talk. You can't go deep. You're not going to be able to talk about, I mean, the few times that I talked to sisters about their mental health, it generally was one-on-one. It was never with a group of people. And we never said, hey, you know, this is making me really depressed that we're still here in the last days. Are you kidding me? We get told that, you know, we're afraid to go and say something like that because we didn't want to have some elder tell us, hey, you know, don't be discouraging to the brothers and sisters out in field service because you're not getting the generation and a generation that we're living in the last days of that generation. It's just, you don't talk about those things.
So I guess our advice, now we stayed together regardless of all of that, which it was hard. But
Yeah, it was hard.
Her. I love her very much. She's a wonderful human being. So I didn't want to go anywhere. But my advice to you is please educate yourself. Mm-hmm. Stand up for yourself. Don't allow anybody to treat you wrong. And don't feel that you're the problem. When people are saying, whether it's your mother, your father, your brother, your sister, cousin, whoever it is, co-worker, if people are telling you everything you do wrong, they're probably a covert narcissist, and these are the things that they're doing wrong, and they don't like themselves. Get away from those people. And if that's all you've got in your life, still get away from them. It's better to be alone. I read something on Facebook that said, just because you're lonely, don't go back to toxic people.
No.
Because you're thirsty is no reason to drink poison. So be very careful, educate yourself. YouTube, the internet, wonderful tools for us to figure out what's going on.
And then they have ExJW groups that you can, you know, if you have a phone, you can, you know, get into a group on Facebook. And that's been very healing for me. It's been so healing to hear almost the same story that I'm telling you about.
Yep,
with me.
Over and over again.
Yeah, and you hear it and you think, okay, I'm not alone. You know, I'm not alone in my feelings about these people. And Patrick Teahan talks about shame. You know, we don't want to talk about it. It's embarrassing. It's so embarrassing. My mom didn't love me. How am I supposed to explain that to somebody who has a great mom? I remember telling people, well, my mom, you know, kicked me out. She called me Judas when I was helping my grandmother. She would, you know, throw all my clothes out and all my stuff out onto the driveway, and I would have to, I mean, a brother and sisters, people came over to the house, and one sister said, I have never seen anything like this before. And
one day when Ina's mom threw all her clothes out
everywhere and just broke my things that I had, and she just put her hand on her hip and looked around at the chaos. And she was a good mom. And she just said, I've never seen this before. I've never seen anything like this before. And it was like those times when people would actually vocalize it, I realized I wasn't crazy, that somebody else saw it. But my mom was really good at hiding her destruction. She did a good job. I don't think we have very many married. My mom, when my mom and dad would argue, my mom would rip all the wedding pictures. And so there's very few, I think there's 2 wedding pictures of my mom and dad with the rips in it, because she would just be so destructive. Like I said, we were known in the Santa Ana Police Department. I had called one time. Well, I can't remember if it was for my dad's death. I don't remember. And sorry about the helicopters and the airplanes and stuff.
It's okay.
Yeah. I think it was for my dad. I don't remember. And they said, "Oh, are you 421 on North Lenwood? And do you so-and-so live so-and-so?" And I'm like, wait a minute, how do you know that I've never called you before. Well, we've had multiple calls from this number. And I'm like, oh my, how do you know? How do you know that?
Yeah.
But it was interesting because, we had quite a reputation, Jehovah's, this little Mexican family as Jehovah's Witnesses and in the community, which was quite embarrassing, I have to say.
Yep. So walk away, people. Walk away from
walk
these narcissists.
away, be
Go,
happy.
Go get healthy.
Go get healthy. Be good to yourself.
If you can't afford therapy, go online, look up Dr. Ramani, Dr. Teahan, and many others.
Get a hold of some groups.
Yeah, and if you just start researching narcissists a little bit, you'll see how connected all of your pain is to everything that's happened in your life. Narcissism is a huge, huge problem in society in general. One doctor estimates that if you're walking down the street with 10 people, one of them is a covert narcissist. So it's a huge problem, and probably most all of us have one in our lives, whether it's a relative or co-worker. But they're there, and it's very beneficial for us to educate ourselves so that we can walk away.
Yeah.
And for the most part, these people are not going to change. They're, like Dr. Ramani says, they're just jerks, and they are. They're just jerks.
They're not going to change.
And so don't try and change them.
Yeah, but you can get yourself
You can
stronger.
get yourself free.
Yeah, I'm here to tell you that, it took some time. It took many, many years. But, and I still have little things. It's like a wound that you open up again, and all these feelings come out. And, you talk to somebody in the family, and it'll trigger something. And then a wound is opened all over again that you thought was done. I would suggest that you really don't, whatever you do, don't kill yourself. That's something that I wish I could have told people that have had family that isolated them.
Yeah.
And please don't. There is somebody out there that will love you. I promise. Somebody, if LGBTQ plus, please don't do that. Make sure you get somebody. The LGBTQ plus community is so loving. That's what I've heard. And so you want to make sure that you get around people that will love you. And there's plenty. And I don't encourage religion, but unfortunately, sometimes certain religious communities will fortunately, they will help you, and they have certain ways to help you get back on your feet that Jehovah's Witnesses will not do, like provide money, and there's usually no strings attached at all. There's also communities that are not religious, and they will help you with that as well, to get back on your feet and to help you love yourself enough to leave it and never go back. So please Sorry about the noise. I hope you can see the beauty that's around us. This is our favorite place. I always used to tell my husband, I said, okay, so after resurrection, we're gonna meet each other here on these tables. And well, you know, I don't believe in resurrection anymore, but these have happy memories here in the this little, what, it's not really a forest, it's what?
No, this
canyon.
is, yeah,
it's a canyon and
right by the ocean.
Right by the ocean.
Called Crystal Cove State Park.
Yeah.
I was coming here long before I ever met you to ride my mountain bike.
And then he took me, and then I started riding mountain bikes.
She liked it, so I figured she was a winner.
Yeah, and that maintained my mental health in some way.
Still
Exercise,
does.
yeah. Exercise has really helped me to maintain my mental health, along with just getting out and seeing the beauty around us. I suggest that too, making sure that you get out and see the beauty that's around us. You all right? You ready to eat?
Yeah. So, we don't want to go too long, but...
And I'll probably cut it up again.
Probably cut it up again. But, yeah, so just love yourself, get away, stop giving your energy to people that don't appreciate it, and people that harm you, people that cause harm to you. Most of them are not redeemable people. And if somebody who has abused you in your life dies, don't feel bad if you are relieved.
Yeah,
Don't feel bad if you're relieved. There was a movie, Dolores Claiborne. She told somebody, a line in that movie was, an accident, Dolores, can be an unhappy woman's best friend. And this was a woman who had been sexually abused by somebody for many, many years.
Her daughter.
No, the
young
person
girl
in the movie.
Yeah,
but, you know, covert narcissists are extremely harmful people. Extremely harmful people. Don't get too mad at me, people who don't understand. Because this world has a lot of human beings in it that would be better off dead. Because all they do is cause harm and destruction to lives. And they just don't need to be here. And you know that's true.
Yeah.
They are not good humans.
Yeah.
So on that note,
Follow your bliss and be good humans.